Hey guys, welcome back to the Ron Williams YouTube channel. Listen, we talked about last week about chest, shoulder, and triceps, building the dumbbell presses, increasing the repetitions, and also building the strength of the bench press and the strength in building your body. Because ultimately, we don't want to do dumbbell presses just to be able to do them, right? We have an ulterior motive, an ultimate goal is to build a better looking manly chest, right? So part of that is with the shoulder press. You say, but that works your shoulders, not your chest. Well, if I don't have strong shoulders, it's going to limit what I can do with my chest. So they're actually connected. So if I'm doing a dumbbell press with weak shoulders, I'm going to be limited to how much weight I can push. Now, the amount of weight that I'm able to push effectively and with good technique is going to determine how much I can make my chest grow. Because every time I lift a weight that's taxing to my muscle, I micro tear that muscle. And then the body repairs according to the pressure and the tearing that took place. And the body says, if you keep applying that kind of pressure, I've got to repair and rebuild to handle that kind of pressure. So it repairs, rebuilds, you do it again, you go a little heavier, it repairs, rebuilds, you go heavier. So you've got to have all of the muscle groups working together to get the chest that you want, but also the shoulders and triceps. So here we go. I want to make sure I left these on. This machine came with just these two handles. I had this welded on because I never lift doing military presses to the side. Why? It's damaging to the shoulder joint itself. If you look at a Barbie doll, you pull the arm straight out to the side, the Barbie doll's arm comes off. Your shoulder is made similar. The only difference, you have ligaments, tendons, and you also have the muscle there to hold that joint, but that ball in the socket, you pull that ball right out of the socket every time you lift straight out to the side. So if I were to push up, I've got very little weight here, push up, I'm pulling that joint out of the socket. I don't want to do that. So I left these here just so that I could demonstrate that, but I had these put on. Now if you take a Barbie doll's arm and you rotate it straight up all the way around, it'll go all the way around. Yours won't do that because again, the muscle, the ligaments, the tendons, and the skin that's there won't allow that. But it stays in the joint when you're pushing to the front. So we do presses to the front, never to the side. Notice the hand grip. It's not here, but it's here. Straight forward. Ooh. Ooh. But I'm building that shoulder. I'm building that shoulder muscle at the same time when I'm doing the dumbbell presses. Guess what? It's a similar movement going forward and pushing. So I want you to concentrate on front presses, move away from the dumbbell presses, because in order to stabilize the dumbbells, you have to bring them back and do the military press. Unless you have a bench that you're using, an incline bench that you're using pushing to the front. So with that being said, make sure that when you're doing your presses, you're staying safe. To the front is much better for that joint than to the side. Stay away from the side. See, it's going in. If you were to do this, you would feel the difference. Take your arm straight in front of you and push straight up like this. Should feel like nothing. Now take your arms from this position and move them to the side. Okay, now push back. Now push up. While you're pushing back, you feel that torque on the joint? It's uncomfortable, isn't it? Well, imagine adding 100 pounds, 200 pounds, 250 pounds, going against that joint. And just imagine what that's doing over and over and over. And the stronger you get, sometimes what happens is we get stronger doing a movement that's not good for us, and eventually that joint breaks down, or something happens, and we start to wrap that muscle or that joint put icy hot on it, you know, no pain, no gain. Some pain is not good. So be careful with that. So with the shoulder presses, this is what we want to do to the front. The next exercise I'm going to show you is the lateral raise. Now the lateral raises are a really good exercise, but you want to be careful how you do the lateral raises. I'm going to talk to you about it first, then I'm going to go through it. So the first thing you want to concentrate on with the lateral raises is as you're pushing out, you want to make sure you're not pulling your shoulders up. This is more of a trap exercise. And if you've done that for a long period of time, pull the shoulders up and kind of swing the weight, it's going to be a hard transition. You're going to have to lighten the weights a lot and start all over. The weight will build back up. It'll be a slow process, but you're going to do it correctly. So you want to start in this position. Take the elbow, push down and away. Elbow down and away. Concentrating on using the elbows, lifting with the elbows, because that'll force the shoulder to work rather than your wrist. Because if you pull from your wrist, you're putting pressure on the elbow joint. So you're really using this as leverage, and you're driving from the elbow here. You want your elbows, wrist, and shoulders even at the end of the movement. Boom, right there. Boom. Many of you will notice that if you look in the mirror, you're probably like this, with the forearms up high and the elbows low. Or the weight is too heavy and you're here. You want them even. Ooh, right there. I've done it so many times, I know what even is. I can feel it. So, as we're doing this exercise, the laterals, that's where your concentration is. So, let's give that a go. Man, that felt good. That's the way you want to perform that exercise, using either a bench like this or the dumbbells. Same difference, but concentrating on using the elbow, driving from the elbow, rather than pulling with the wrist, and concentrating on that shoulder to do the work. And that's going to help you to increase your dumbbell presses as well as your bench press. Why you have stronger shoulders? You need the shoulder in order to build the chest. Next week we're going to go over triceps, but I want to just demonstrate for you real quick, using the dumbbell presses, what that looks like. Okay guys, I'm just going to show you a quick demonstration of the dumbbell lateral raises. Again, you're concentrating on pushing the shoulders down and away from the body. Notice that my elbows and my shoulders and my wrist are even. The other thing I want you to concentrate on is you're slightly reaching forward. Look at my rear delt. Reaching forward. If I pull back, the rear delt is now engaged. But if I go forward, it relaxes the rear delt. If my elbows start to pull backwards, it's because I'm trying to use other muscle groups to help to pull the exercise. The other muscle groups engage if I allow it to. If I start pulling with my traps, I'm using my traps and my rear delts to try to help me perform the exercise. But I want to stay in the anterior and the medial delt. Here we go. Let's just grab some dumbbells. So, we're starting in this position. Ooh. Notice at the top, elbows and wrists even. If I go up and not even, bad form, but keep the elbows, wrists even like this. The other thing you want to be aware of, what was it? Is skating through the repetition. It's where you swing the weights and you float through the top of the repetition. If you float through the top of the repetition, you're actually missing the most important part of that rep. Right there at the top, if your head is bouncing forward, you're cheating on that repetition and you're missing the most important part of that repetition. So when you get to the top, if that's your problem, pause. Slightly pause. And that'll stop this. Right there at the top of the repetition where you're getting the peak, you float through it. Stop. Shh. Ah, got it. Ah, got it. Don't cheat. Watch the games. Watch the dumbbells go up. Watch the bench press go up. Boom. There you go. Ron Williams out. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think about this video.